Well, today, the Texas Senate heard testimony from the man Ken Paxton turned to when his own staff would not do his bidding.
Brandon Kamek served as special prosecutor, reporting to the now suspended Attorney General and digging into the criminal investigation against Paxton's political donor friend, Nate Paul. This is day 6 of testimony at Paxton's impeachment trial. Sean Rabb in studio again today with more on the testimony today. Sean.
All about Brandon Kamek. He was 5 years out of law school, never a prosecutor, had only 15 to 20 jury trials under his belt when on his cell phone on his birthday, Attorney General Ken Paxton, from August 2020 moving forward. He testified some point in September of that year. Paxton wanted him to communicate with him through something called Signal app, an encrypted communication, and that he did everything at the direction of Paxton over 6 weeks that would change his life.
Who in the Attorney General's office in a position of responsibility did you consistently have your contact with?
The only person I reported to was Mr. Paxton at his direction.
Brandon Kamek is the young, inexperienced lawyer in a solo practice who never worked as a prosecutor, but became outside counsel to the state's top law enforcer. Kamek said in his first meeting with Attorney General Paxton, he was excited.
Did he express anything, any views about his own staff or why he was hiring somebody from outside?
Yes, sir. He said that he was interviewing multiple people, considering multiple people for the position, and that he couldn't get his own staff would not work on what he wanted them to work on.
What Paxton wanted was work on complaints brought to him by his real estate developer friend and campaign contributor, Nate Paul, who believed he had been treated unfairly by federal and state law enforcement. Kamek got the job, but did not have a contract. Meeting with Nate Paul and his attorney, Michael Wynn, September 4th, 2020. Kamek found Nate Paul convincing.
If what he's showing me on how the search warrant was altered is true, this is a big deal.
He began working on the complaint made by Nate Paul. Then he received a second referral to investigate civil litigation in bankruptcy court.
I spoke with Mr. Paxton about the referral because I wasn't sure if my scope of my contract covered that.
Sure.
And so, you know, he said that it did, and so I was like, well, I'm going to rise to the occasion. I'm going to figure this out.
Kamek testified he constantly asked for credentials, a badge, an email, something to prove he was working as a special prosecutor for the Attorney General's office, but never got that, and began preparing subpoenas in both cases, emailing some, delivering others to financial institutions in person. Nate Paul's attorney insisted, he says, on going with him. But as a sign of the conflict between Paxton and his own staff, when subpoenas were delivered, Kamek got cease and desist letters from none other than the Attorney General's office and a visit by U.S. Marshals. He testified the first time he had a contract signed by Ken Paxton was September 29th, given to him by Nate Paul's attorney, and that he attended a meeting after that at Paul's house with his attorney and Paxton, but he still had not been paid. Early October, Kamek met with Paxton and others at an Austin Starbucks. Kamek asked about getting paid and was told by the AG's new first assistant, Brent Webster, that the contract signed by Paxton was no good.
I think I ballparked and I said, what about my $14,000 invoice? And he's like, well, you're going to have to eat that invoice. I've had to eat $40,000 invoices.
Now, Mr. Kamek testifying that was Brent Webster telling him that, look, while the prosecutors are trying to prove certain elements of the articles of impeachment, the defense needs the jurors to see otherwise. I mean, a lot of bad things may have happened to and around Brandon Kamek's practice over those 6 weeks in 2020, but the question is, did Paxton do anything rising to the level of an impeachable offense? After all the testimony about contracts, secret communication, and everything else, does any of it equal impeachment?
All right, we're about to see very soon. Sean Rabb, thank you.
All right.
You can watch the trial streaming live on fox4news.com, the Fox 4 YouTube channel, and Facebook page. And when we're not in a newscast, you can watch Fox Local. That's our streaming channel. It's free to download on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, and Android TV. No login is required.